Good morning everyone. So this is your friend Abhishek. So the topic for today's discussion is what do you mean by the organized crime and what do you mean by terrorism? What are the differences between that? What are the linkages between that? So while writing the main answer writing, you are encountered with such problems. So today we will discuss it. Now I'm going to explain what is an organized crime. Organized crimes are a group of individuals who are indulged in an organization or doing some of the criminal activities in search of profit and money. तो basically क्या कहते हैं, organized crime ये होता है कि उसमें कुछ a set of peoples होते हैं जो कि किसी organization से जुड़े होते हैं and for their profit making, for their money making, so they are performing the crimes. The activity that are included in the organized crime are basically trafficking of humans, illicit drug delivery, armed robbery, and there are some of the counterfeiting and money laundering. Now the point of discussion is what is terrorism. Basically terrorism is the use of illegitimate force to provide harm to the common people for some of the political and various ideological gains. So we can conclude that terrorism harms the state, it harms the people, it harms the human society. Terrorism violates law, threatens common people and challenges the state. Main point of focus is that what are the similarities between terrorism, what are the similarity between the organized crime. So we will discuss point by point. Now we will discuss what are the similarities between the organized crime and the terrorism. So basically the first point is that both operate secretly and does their work underground. So they form a type of underground network. It is that both use muscles and ruthlessness on the common people or the common citizens. Third point is that intimidation is the characteristic of the both groups. Basically they used to harm people. So this is a type of intimidation that are provided by both the organized crime and the terrorism. Fourth point is that both use the same type of tactics or both use the similar tactics, that is type of kidnapping, extortions, money laundering, many more. Fifth point is that in both the cases the control of an organized group is very much strong on the common people. Like we may see the case of organized crime in which a common group of people have a similar interest, and if we take the example of the terrorism, so a common group of people have some political gains or political benefits to use their ideology on a common people. I will discuss what are the differences between an organized crime and terrorism. So the first point of difference is that we may see that the terrorism is basically ideologically motivated or politically motivated, but while an organized crime is only for the personal benefit of an individual, it is very much personal oriented. The second point of difference is that we may see in many countries that terrorism use the such kind of tactics, like they compete with the government people for the legitimacy, but while we may see in the case of organized crime, so it is not like that. Third point is that many form of terrorisms that are taking place in various countries, so they basically use media as a tactics, while the case of organized crime never use media. Terrorist group often seeks the media attention. We will discuss what are the main reasons for the convergence between the organized crime and terrorism. So basically we will discuss some of the points. The points are as follows. The first point is that globalization is that the communication revolution through the internet, like in most of the countries we are using internet, and within 1 second most of the data are retrieved from one country to another country. The end of the Cold War is also a type of example. The global war on terror, like many type of the financial action task force and various countries are taking initiatives and many more. And the most important point is that nowadays we are getting to know that most of the states are unable to control the kind of democracy. They are unable to control their own territory also. The increasing number of failed or weak states. To discuss the last point of our question, basically as we may see that in our question it was asking what are the linkages between the organized crime and terrorism. So point by point we will discuss it and follow the same criteria. Is that finances. So basically when terrorists resort to the organized crime, so terrorists resort to organized crime only when they seek some of the financial help for their organization. Like जब हम एक क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं कि जस्ट कि terrorists कब डिपार्ट होते हैं फॉर ऑर्गेनाइज्ड क्राइम के लिए, तो वो तभी डिपार्ट होंगे व्हेन दे नीड सम ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल रिसोर्सेज, इफ दे आर हैविंग सम फाइनेंशियल क्रंच एंड ऑल दीज. मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग, counterfeiting notes, extortion and coercion, murder and many more. So these are some of the tactics that terrorists use to do the organized crime and they have to satisfy their needs. The point is that we may see the case of the terrorism and some of the organized criminal group. So they are performing everything on the same network structure. So basically the same network structure is same. That the both organized crime and terrorism, basically they are performed in area where there is a weak political control, there is a use of some of the illicit weapons, there is some illicit drug trafficking, and there is a porous border. So all these ways provide the access to both terrorism and organized crime. Criminal parties and the terrorism both use the same kind of modern technology for their flourishment. Crime and terrorism both flourish due to ineffective and weak law and order and weakens administration. Kind of a symbiotic relationship between the two. See the many cases of the developed country. So there the organized crime operate without any terror activity, but the terrorism is very much prevalent in the developing countries or the countries that are yet to take the case of India. So in India the organized crime and terrorism are very much prevalent in the northeastern states. There the organized crimes and terrorism takes place in parallel to the government rule. So they are using their own tactics to how to extort money. They are doing kidnapping, they are doing illicit drug trafficking and many more. Northeastern state, human smuggling and money laundering is also very much prevalent in all these states. Example of those militants who are across the Indian border, maybe they are present in the Myanmar or maybe they are present in some of the states like Bangladesh. So basically the main problem they are performing or they are extorting for our Indians is that they are using the kind of smuggling for the northeastern people, and due to this the terrorism is very much prevalent in India. The case of our state Punjab, so there is a prevalence of the drug trafficking, and most of the terrorism financing are done while the supplying of drugs from the Afghanistan to the Pakistan. So if we take the case of a golden crescent, in which it is one of the most important form of drug trafficking and some of the important form of militant organizations. Last example of Naxalism, so basically they are performing a kind of well organized crime by forming the parallel governments and collecting the taxes from the rural people like the government. Also used to do some of the kind of smuggling arms, and they used to control most of the mines in them. To seek what are the steps that are taken by the government to secure our internal challenges. Is that we will write in our answer writing is that we have to write the UN Convention on Transnational Organized Crime and the UN Convention on Corruption. So both these type of convention are very much facilitating to control the money laundering, to control terrorism and to control a well organized crime. That we will write is that we will use some of the international organizations like Financial Action Task Force that are used to curb the money laundering and providing a secular or a kind of a different place for the terrorist organization to curb the funding is the main phenomena. What our country needs to do is that we have to focus on the border sensitive areas, and we have to improve the increase in the number of the border security forces. We have to increase the use of the technology, some ICT based technology. We have to increase the IT enabled technologies, which is very much prevalent, and the use of nanotechnology is the most important in our defense sector. Point that we may write in our answer is that we have to make some of the stringent laws like the Unlawful Act, which is used to prevent the terrorism, and some of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which may be used to prevent the money laundering. So we may see that the money laundering and terrorism are the two most prevalent phenomena that are affecting our society, that are affecting the various type of internal security of India. I'm going to discuss what my conclusion says. Basically, the terrorism and the organized crime, these are affecting the internal security of India. Have to implement various stringent laws, and we have to break the nexus between the two, and providing a gainful type of employment to the youth of our country. Implement the recommendations of second ARC on organized crime. That's all. Thank you so much. I really find this video useful, so please share it and do let me know in the comment section. And if you have please any doubt, so please ask from me, and so that I will be very much highly motivated for you to prepare some of the next videos on the next case studies. It may be of ethics, it may be of polity and so on. Thank you so much.